All right, guys, here we go. New game for you, and surprisingly, an entirely new format. Let me pace forward a little bit here. You'll see my commander, Dralnu, the Lich Lord. So the format that I'm actually playing here is a format that was introduced, I think probably maybe a year ago, might be a little longer than that, but it's a local format in Seattle, played at Card Kingdom, and the format is known as 2DH, which I believe stands for $2 Highlander. It was a creation of a guy named Joel, who was a little frustrated by the fact that EDH has a tendency to be a bit of a money format, and he felt that it was exclusive and didn't allow people to enjoy the format that he loves so much without access to a big pool of cards. And I can definitely appreciate that. I mean, obviously that was the reason for the outgrowth of formats like Standard, known as Type 2 originally, because lots of people wanted to play Magic, and if the only format that was around was what was called Type 1 at the time, now known as Vintage. But you couldn't play Vintage or Type 1 if you didn't have a set of Moxes and the power cards and dual lands and everything else. So it was really exclusive and prevented a lot of people from enjoying the format. So 2DH is certainly created in that spirit as just an alternate format to build in. And for me, any opportunity to innovate is always something that I enjoy quite a bit. And I started building some decks for this format maybe about 6 months ago. And really I've only built 2 decks that I consider to be top tier. One is based around Azami, because amazingly she's under $2. Oh yeah, and I guess I forgot to explain that too. The main caveat of the format, the main, I should say, restriction of it, is that until very recently, every card in your deck, including the general, had to cost $2 according to the MTG stocks marketplace. $2 or less, although that restriction was just recently relaxed a little bit on the general to open up the format a little bit. You can now spend up to $3 on your general, but every other card in the deck has to be $2 or below according to average market price. It's really a neat format, actually, and I definitely encourage anybody who likes alternate formats or likes things like Pauper and so on, just formats that put interesting restrictions on deck construction, to give it a try. It is a little bit cumbersome to build a deck because you have to go and check the price of any card that you think might be on the bubble. Obviously, a fair amount of them, certainly most of the commons, are obviously under $2, although surprisingly, every now and then a common will hop up above $2 that you wouldn't expect. But by and large, you only have to check for older cards that are uncommon, and certainly for the rares. And I've made my fair share of mistakes of adding cards that were not legal. But I'm pretty sure everything in this deck is under the $2 limit. I may actually still have an Underground River in here, so that would be the only exception. But I posted a game on Magic Online saying that I was playing a budget deck, though I didn't specify what the specifications were on that, so I kind of expected that anybody would show up. But anyway, I am playing against this guy, Ezuri, the Claw of Progress. I've been seeing a ton of this general. Haven't really faced a deck that I felt was particularly focused or excellent around it. Though I guess it's one of those generals that you kind of have to build around it, but it's hard to really abuse it. I guess you can play with lots of things that get counters and can move the counters around. Maybe the spike creatures would be handy with it. He is a little bit hard to trigger, but at the same time, any blue-green general is going to be competing in the same slot as creatures like Edric, obviously. So hard to justify a blue-green general that isn't Edric if you're really interested in winning. But this guy's certainly an interesting creature, and this is a very, very cool and interesting game. Let me move my guy over here. Go over in the corner. Go down there. All right. I lost a die roll, which is unfortunate, but I do have a Talisman of Dominance. Reason I'm playing Dralnu, I'm very confident that this is the best deck I've built so far, and truthfully, nothing in the format has really given it trouble. I built a very, very hyper-aggressive mono-red deck recently that seemed like it was a tough matchup, though I had a couple cards in the deck that were way, way more than $2 by accident. I had inadvertently put them in, so I haven't tested the deck since I removed those creatures. But otherwise, in terms of the tools that Blue-Black has in this format, very easy. The mana base is really easy to run, and this guy's just crazy. Unless the person's playing red, which is a rare thing, and even if they are playing red, you can sculpt a situation where you can just play Dralnu and basically just win the game on the spot if you're able to untap with him active. And even if they kill him, at the point you're deploying him, you can often just play him again. And when I say kill him, I mean kill him without direct damage, of course. But once he's taken control of the game, especially if you're able to get a situation where your opponent has no cards in hand, it's basically like old classic Scepter counterspell lock from way back in the early days of the deck. And I've had that situation going with Dralnu plenty of times. That's sort of the objective. And there are a number of cards in here to facilitate that as well, as you'll see. So here we go. Definitely a keepable hand. He's mulliganing to 4. Holy cow. I didn't realize he had to go down that far. Oh no, I guess he mulliganed to 5 cards, so double mulligan. Alright. Turn 1, Green Sun Zenith. Obviously he's getting Dryad Arbor, so he's got a fast start. And unfortunately I have nothing to hope for in terms of getting Soul Ring and Crypt and all that stuff. Original build of this deck actually used that horrible artifact from, I think it was Ice Age, called Jeweled Amulet, just for an opportunity to play something that cost 3 mana on turn 2. But the Jeweled Amulet was so inconsistent, and I have a fair number of come-into-play tap lands, and obviously the combination of Amulet plus a come-into-play tap land is just catastrophically bad. So I cut it eventually. I do have a lot of 2-mana artifacts, though, and I think only one that makes 3. So we're just going to lead with Evolving Wilds here, because it's the worst land in my hand. Nissa, Vastwood Seer. Alright, that guarantees that he's going to have Ezuri on turn 2. On turn 3. Which is a problem, but not the end of the world. I'm going to go get an island here, for sure. You can get a little quick look at the deck here. And I may do a deck tech for this a little bit later for people who might be interested in the format. You're more than welcome, of course, to email me if you're interested in a deck list. I always provide those. But I'm very, very happy with the build right now. I don't think that I would change anything about it right away, though obviously there are always a few cards that are kind of on the bubble. Alright, Dismal Backwater. That is certainly a dismal top deck. We're going to just play the Talisman here. Hope he doesn't have a... obviously he has a Ezuri. We're going to hope that he doesn't have other follow-ups, though. He doesn't have some cheap creatures to start activating the experience counters on it. Alright, I'm going to take a little bit of a beating. Doesn't have a trigger for it yet. Alright, come on, deck. I have a fair amount of removal in here. Not a ton, because obviously, like most blue-black decks, you're using counter spells to keep the board state under control. Though the ability that Dralnu has to double up on your removal makes it so that the few direct spot removal spells I have are a lot more potent. Swamp, that's terrible. Alright, I'm just going to play the Dismal Backwater here. Gave some thought to playing Trinket Mage, but at the same time I didn't really feel like I had a particularly good target for the Trinket Mage's ability. There's no Crypt or Soul Ring again, so there isn't just an easy fetch target. I don't have Divining Top either. The closest thing I have to a mana producer I can fetch with him, since I don't have that bad Jeweled Amulet, is Everflowing Chalice. And there's no time to even deploy that right now, especially because I need to keep counter mana up. I'm just going to get bashed for 6. And my plan here is really just to throw away some of these superfluous lands with the Forbid in order to keep him from turning on the ability. While 6 damage a turn is a lot, I figure that I'll probably draw into something useful before then, and I do have this guy as a temporary blocker in a couple turns if need be. Oh, Steel Hellkite, awesome. Yeah, this guy's MVP in my deck, honestly. Especially in blue-black in general, has a very hard time interacting with certain classes of permanents like enchantments and artifacts. So having a Steel Hellkite in here gives me at least some ability to deal with that. Plus, it's a huge clock once you've got a lot of mana on board and can get rid of all different permanent types. I really, really love this creature, and it does tons of work in this deck. I'm just going to play the Aqueduct, honestly, to bounce the Dismal Backwater so that I can get some more life from it, potentially. We're still just going to sit on the Forbid. Hits me again. It's fine. Says go. Alright, well, with 2 blue up and him not doing anything, I've got to assume he's got a counterspell in hand. So we're going to have to play around that. Playing Cold Steel Heart, making blue mana, gaining life. We're just obviously setting up a turn where I can play the Trinket Mage safely and still Forbid. And a few turns from now, I'll be able to play the Steel Hellkite and Forbid, which might be able to bail me out of here even if I don't draw a move. I really have drawn a lot of land, though. I've only drawn 3 spells the whole game. Oh, God. So he plays Nissa. And did I miss that whole interaction there? Oh, no, I'm sorry. He didn't play Nissa. Duh. He played a 7th land. So he flips the Vastwitzer over. Now I have a big, big problem because this thing, card advantage engine, and it can put 2/2 green elementals into play, which will wrap the game up in short order, especially given that I have no removal at all. But he goes for the card draw off of it first. Thank God I held Trinket Mage. All right. So he gets a Wirewood Symbiote, and that, as good as that is, because it now activates Ezuri, it is not worth fighting over, especially because now I have to make sure that I can cast a Trinket Mage and protect it. So we're going to have to take some more damage. Guess he could have attacked first and then flipped, but whatever. All right. We're 1 mana away from being able to cast the Steel Hellkite and protecting it. I should say 1 turn away, because I'm playing another land this turn. But I'm going to play the Trinket Mage first. And no fight over it. So we're going to definitely get Pithing Needle here. You can see how few targets I actually have. I've got Vault of Whispers, Seat. I have Wayfarer's Bauble, Pithing Needle, and the Chalice. So very few targets. Still a great creature, though. Absolutely worth using. All right, I'm going to play the Pithing Needle. And fortunately, he has no artifact removal and no counters. So Nissa is shut off for the time being. That stems the bleeding somewhat, but this thing is still going to keep growing every turn. Ancient Tomb. All right, what's happening here? Doing Triskelion. That's a pretty cool combo with Ezuri, as you can just keep pumping massive counters onto this thing. So that has to be forbid, because it's just too much damage. He does have 2 blue untapped, but I don't have that kind of time. And honestly, even if he counters here, it's not too bad. He'll be down to 1 card in hand. I'll be able to untap and cast a Steel Hellkite. So I was fully expecting him to counter there and was a little relieved when he didn't. We're just going to take 6 again. I'm not blocking here, even though I could save some damage because I expect this thing's going to keep getting bigger. And I'll be able to soak up more damage off of it later. All right, Temple of Deceit. More land. God, this is pretty ridiculous. But we can play the Hellkite now, so we're not screwed. I know it's a weird situation when I'm this late in the game, and honestly, Dralnu has no targets in the graveyard at all. Because I haven't drawn any, I haven't actually cast any spells. It's kind of strange. But I can forbid now, so. And I've got a blocker. Glad this thing is not Freelace. Fathom Mage. Very, very powerful, obviously. It's going to trigger Ezuri's ability, and it's also going to draw 2 cards because he gets 2 separate counter triggers when he attacks. But I decide that it's too important for me to protect the Hellkite. Additionally, these guys have the same converted mana cost, so the Hellkite will be able to clean them both up next turn. So even though he gets to draw 2 from it, I decide that I'm gonna let it happen. Two experience counters now. What else is he doing? Harrow. Alright, well, that's not a problem, obviously. What happened there? Oh, that's right. He used Werewood Symbiote. Very clever move. He used Werewood Symbiote to bounce the creature, because it's an elf, actually, to untap a land, and that protects it from the Hellkite, which kind of sucks, but not too bad. Alright, Time Warp. No, sir. That I'm going to counter for sure, because I at this point I have an opening. I'm going to be able to clear away the Fathom Mage and play Dralnu. So I absolutely do not want him to take another turn. He just has too much mana in play now to make that a safe thing. Normally I'm really loath to counter Time Warp normally, but in this case I have to stop it. All right, Everflowing Chalice. Perfect card. We're going to eat that Fathom Mage up. Chomp. Do your thing, Hellkite. Alright, post-combat. Alright, just going to cast Dralnu here. There's certainly nothing better to do. I'm going to play that and hope to scry into something good. Ponder. Alright, we'll keep that. Especially because I can double up on that with Dralnu. Alright, there. Ezuri's back. Oh, yeah, that thing's getting big. Dryad Arbor, 5/5. It's okay. We're going to just block it this turn. I don't want to go down to 12, considering I'm facing indeterminate damage in the following turns, especially if he's able to get rid of Pithing Needle. So I'm just going to block, soak up the 5 there. No reason to take huge risks. Alright, so I can double Ponder on this turn. We're going to see what this gets. Hopefully it's something awesome and I don't have to use it, Ponder a second time, because I'd really like to keep that Forbid available with Dralnu. Ridiculous. Alright, those are all obviously getting reshuffled. An island. Sick. Alright, we're going to Ponder again. Come on, deck, I believe. And it delivers. Nice. Merchant Scroll, Chainer's Edict, Mindstone. Alright, that is what I'm talking about. That's awesome. Because I know Steel Hellkite can clear away Ezuri. The Edict can clear away one of these two creatures, most likely the Symbiote. It's going to reduce him to just the Arbor. And few cards left in hand. And I know that I'm getting Merchant Scroll next turn. So we're going to do that. And the Hellkite will continue to do its thing. So we're definitely clearing that guy away. It's getting very expensive. I'm going to play this first, of course, for 2 mana. An Edict. Alright. Really low in health, but it's looking a little better. He's got to pretty much tap out almost to play him. Ah, he gets another trigger. Now he's up to 3. So that thing's going to smash me for 8. But I know what the top of my deck is. Merchant Scroll. Awesome. Alright. We are going to go get lots of choices. I could just get a bounce spell. I could get Capsize. Or I could go get a card that gets them all. Mystical Teachings, because I have plenty of mana. So I'm going to go get that. I'm getting Doomblade here, because we need to deal with the 8/8, because the Hellkite can't kill it. I'm going to just Doomblade right now. Before I spend any mana on my Hellkite, I just need to see what happens here. Because it's possible I might not even attack. Honestly, I can't block with Dralnu, so. But he's got Remand. Alright, cool. Blow that guy up. And I can immediately use Dralnu to get it back. To ice off his Ezuri again. This poor thing has died, I think, 4 times now. And I'm going to attack here. And I'm actually attacking Nissa right now, because one of the ways I could still lose this game is if he were to draw Artifact Removal, stop Pithing Needle, and draw something really powerful off of Nissa. So we're going to try to close down those variables. This means, of course, I'm going to get clobbered again by his General. And he's got another activator for it. 4 experience. Smash. Down to 4. Dismiss. Very timely. And I've still got the Mystical Teachings in the graveyard. Alright, I'm going to rumble over. And this time, obviously, I'm going to kill both these 2 guys, because they both cost 2. Adios, dudes. He has 0 cards in hand. Dralnu fetches Chainer's Edict. Commander dies for the 5th time, and that, my friends, is checkmate. 0 cards in hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 potential counters in the graveyard. He plays Command Beacon, which is a little scary because it gets his guy back for just 4 mana instead of for 1 billion. He's tapping a boatload of mana here. We're just going to dismiss this. Decree of Pain. Fact or Fiction. Nice. Alright. Could just hit him for a little bit here, but I figure I'm just going to get him within very close to lethal range. Another crazy thing about the Hellkite is it's pumpable too. 9/5. Smash. Down to 6. He has 1 card in hand. Gets his guy back, of course. Plays it, and I don't care about that at all. It's totally irrelevant. Last desperate Life's Legacy. Countered with Dismiss. God, you gotta love this interface. And that is game. Just like that. I thought it was a very, very cool pitch battle. All that mana flood at the beginning made things a lot more difficult than they needed to be, and I was facing a ton of pressure. Certainly had to make some judgment calls with regards to how I develop my board. But that's the thing with having more life points and with playing blue-black. You sometimes just got to soak up a ton of damage in order to gain a board state. One big difference between regular online EDH and the way the 2DH format is played is that you only have 30 life in the 2DH format. I'm not sure why that decision was made, but that's the case. And that certainly does affect the way that these decks would play out. I would have probably lost that game with 30 life and certainly would have had to play differently. But yeah, that's just the way the the life rules work for the time being. I'm not really sure why, but I'll have to ask the creator that and save it for another video. And I do have another video coming up that is also quite an awesome game. I really hope you enjoyed that one, and there will be more from this deck to come. See you later.